What is flow?
Flow is a non-ordinary state of optimally functioning consciousness.
What does that mean in simple terms?
You do a little dance and you become a Zen person.
Zen
Like,
as.
ha-
Have you ever experienced a moment where you're so completely absorbed in an activity that time seems to fly by? Your focus is laser sharp and you're able to perform at your best effortlessly. That is the power of flow state. In this video, I'm so excited to have a special guest with me to talk about flow states and getting in the zone. You might know her from her amazing achievements in the Shiaijo, including 7 times China national champ and world champs representative. She is currently studying a master's degree at the University of Tsukuba and is an all-round super person. That's right, my guest today is Elizabeth Bergen-Bartel.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know, your research is tied to how we can get people to get into that flow state, and that obviously leads to better performance in the long run. What is actually meant by the term flow state?
Flow state is a non-ordinary state of consciousness that has like 6 main factors. So number 1 is you have this sense of the movement or the activity itself having intrinsic meaning. So it's like the experience itself is worth the time that you spend. Number 2, a strange experience of time. So time dilation. Sometimes time speeds up or slows down, or both. Sometimes, like I've had it do that to me before, which was crazy. Then you have like a sense of ease, a sense of control, a sense of mastery without needing to put too much effort into it. And then like action and awareness merge. So like everything you want to do is just like happening and you lose the sense of self. Academically, flow and zone are a little bit different, but I like to think of it as like flow. You can have flow state doing lots of stuff like washing the dishes or I don't know, going on a walk. But zone is like a whole nother level. So for me, I call it a zone vortex. It's like you get sucked into this totally altered state of consciousness where you kind of forget everything that's happening. It's just happening. And kind of takes you over like a tornado or a vortex would. And that often comes with a strange kind of sense of oneness for me personally. That's not everyone. It's a wide range of different stuff that happens.
So let's bring this like back to Kendo, Kendo context. Like if we were talking about somebody experiencing flow in the dojo, would that be something that they experience during kakari geko or jigeko or shiai or all of those things? Or do we notice them in much more sort of deliberate practice, like in kihon and waza training and things like that?
So kihon, yes, for sure. But especially in shiai, if you get into these certain if you can trigger these states in the shiai, because that's when you have this like very imminent threat that like is giving you this challenge, a very important task at hand. So especially in shiai is when normally I would try to look at like their flow state. But yeah, for sure, definitely during normal kihon or in school tournaments, keiko, all possible. And I've experienced flow personally in all of those different settings. I would say flow is so unique for each individual because if you think about it, all of our perceptual system is completely different based on our genetics, the trauma that we've been through. So all this like genomic data, we will have different experiences of flow. I mean, those are like the main things, but how it expresses and how it gets triggered and everyone is unique. And then also like the creativity and the experience they bring to the table when they get in that state will be completely unique and amazing. And that's why I'm always just so fascinated by it.
So I guess the interesting thing to talk about, particularly for people watching this and trying to think, well, okay, I love the idea of flow. How do I get my athletes or my students to experience it? How do we achieve flow state going into a competition?
Right. So there's lots of research that they did with the Marines using box breathing to get them into flow state. So that's like pretty solid evidence. And it's very easy to do, and it helps anytime you have a tough situation or you're having trouble processing things. So all you have to do is like inhale, count of 4, and then hold it for the same amount, then exhale same amount, and then hold without breath for the same amount.
So you would say breathe in steadily for 5 seconds, hold that for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, and then maintain that breathless state for 5 seconds as well. So that completes the box.
I would say the best thing you can do is box breathing. Number 2 is coherence breathing. So you try to inhale and exhale the same count, and then think of very happy feelings. It sounds so funny, but like think of compassion or whatnot, and then you'll see like heart rate variability goes more of a smooth line. So this is like what we would call coherence, physiological coherence. And when you do that, personally, I found I'm able to focus a lot better and help other people and sync with other people better. So box breathing, coherence breathing, it helps you get back into focus. And for me, it's helped for flow, especially box breathing and coherence breathing for when I really need to get into a situation where I have to like communicate with a training partner or something. It helps a lot to do.
So just let me be clear on this coherence breathing. This is essentially following a steady pattern of inhale and exhale, but including a positive or a compassionate image in your mind, did you say?
That's good because it helps you calm, but you can think of a happy moment or a good time during kihon in dojo or something like this that helps you get to like a very special place. But also, like I do it when I'm doing suguri, so it's actually really hard for me to do that. But like to try to really keep focus on one point where you just keep your eye on like a dot on the wall the whole time and do the suguri with the breathing and just try to completely focus. But that's really challenging to like keep the breathing and the right form and the focus on the spot.
So what does the breathing look like for you when you're doing suburi? Because I think in terms of practical tips for coaches to sort of start to bring this stuff into their training, are we breathing in, so the inhale on the backswing and the exhale with the ki or the count out, and then keep that rhythm? Do you do one suburi per breath, or do you do a couple, or how do you tend to do it or coach it?
Yeah, mainly I'm like doing really big cuts. So it's like it's very easy to do the inhale with the furikaburi and the cut. But if I'm doing this type of suburi, I typically won't ki because it's a very private training that I would only do like with myself. Because when I'm doing suburi with the group, it's like I want to stay in sync with them. But this is like my own, like syncing with my heart completely.
Yeah,
syncing everything together. So
right.
A little bit different.
Is this something that you can do at the start of training with suburi, like you've said, and that's it? Or do there need to be checkpoints throughout that we build into trainings? Like, what would your tips be? What would your advice be for coaches trying to help their students to get into these flow states?
Right. So doing box breathing before training, like when you're warming up or before there's any kind of like formal stuff happening, that would be a good time. Or like even before you get to the dojo, do it for 30 minutes. And then the coherence breathing during the suburi, if you can do that, or doing like when you're doing seizat together as a group, that's really good. But if you're a coach and you're in the shiai court, you're like, oh, like I want, before you get to the shiai, of course, sorry, before the shiai, you could teach your student this kind of technique and help them try to regain control of their body. The more you can create this kind of physiological coherence together between people, the more information is shared. I mean, this is like a scientifically proven thing now. Like that's how information flows between people. So the more you can be present and do this kind of synchrony in a club, I think the better the teaching will be, the better the learning will be, the better the happiness and flow will be. Because like when you're in flow, you're going to be super happy and excited to learn. And then like it kind of snowballs after a while if you keep it going.
I love what you just said about the importance of getting into sync with others, with other people, whether it be one or many, in your role as a coach, because that has such a positive impact on the exchange of information and therefore learning and therefore performance, right?
Right.
And I think that's just such an important message to take away. As I mentioned in our correspondence, you bring sort of an important gendered perspective to your coaching, but also a cultural perspective, which I think is important as well. As Chinese Kendo starts to grow, what are some of the things or tips that you can give us in terms of coaching female Kendoka and also Chinese Kendoka that are training out internationally? What are some of the things that we might want to keep in mind?
So, number one is remember how important it is that we're here to help them grow to be their optimal self, and likewise grow with them. Not just thinking like, "Oh, I'm the greatest. I'm so great." No, 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 no. We all have room to grow, and every student has taught me something incredible. So, going into the interaction with that goal for me, thinking I want to help this person as much as I can, understanding who they are, where they came from, what are they looking for, what's valuable to them, are they intrinsically or extrinsically motivated, or a combination. I mean, it's not all character building, right? It's about doing fun stuff and hitting people and getting and blood, sweat, and tears is, yeah.
Preferably less tears, but yeah, I mean,
oh no, good tears.
Good tears. I mean, for someone that's training at one of the most notoriously strong Kendo clubs in Japan, Tsukuba Daigaku, you must see some pretty intense moments when they're gearing up for Shiai or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. There's so many awesome individuals, and to see how they interact and how they sync with each other. I mean, it's different for me. I'm quite old, and like I'm not the same age as them, but yeah, it's just wonderful to see like all the different creativity that they have in their waza and their keiko and expression. It's awesome. It's a dream come true, and I'm so grateful to be here. I do miss my own students, but it's so much fun to just go to the dojo and have someone else leading, and not have to do everything.
You can concentrate on getting into your own flow state rather than worrying about helping people get into theirs, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, flow's not going to be like. It's. For me, it's a superpower. I see it as a superpower. People can find ways to access flow, but often people that are training at that level are just like naturally experiencing that because they're so invested in what they're doing. Ever had flow before?
I think I have, but not when I was aware of what it was.
Well, I hope you have more flow teaching and whatnot.
I do too. Box breathing, that's me.